Good evening, folks. It's Diamond with the Oppenheimer Ranch Project and Magnetic Reversal News, bringing you a magnetic excursion update Tuesday, January 28th, around 10 p.m. Mountain Time 2025. A press release from the Bulletin of Atomic Scientists set the clock to 89 seconds to midnight, the closest ever to human extinction. Keep calm. It's boom time. Well, the big question is, were the rains enough to ease Southern California's fire threat? Here's what we know. LA fire crews are clearing toxic debris along Palisades Drive in this picture. And our hearts and thoughts and prayers go out to all those affected by what has occurred in LA County. Now, this week's rainstorm brought much needed moisture to Southern California without the mudslide some feared, but some debris flows did occur. And the reason the major mudslides didn't occur is there wasn't actually that much rain. Here's some of the numbers. We've got from 0.3 in Castaic all the way up to 1.62 inches in Porter Ranch. But the areas affected, like Castaic, only saw a third of an inch or less. So let's talk about it. Forecasters say the amount of rainfall isn't quite enough to keep LA's fire season from dragging all the way into February. It would take 2 to 4 inches of rain to comfortably consider the wildfire season over, according to Ryan Cattell of the National Weather Service, meteorologist in Oxnard. This storm dropped generally half an inch to 1.5 inches across the basin, which did help to quench the fires, but certainly not the continuing fire weather threat. Bad news there, as we keep a close eye on Southern California. It appears as if more moisture is on the way. Hey, La Nina returns with 12 to 20 inches of snow in the forecast, and that means another atmospheric river is setting up Friday before possible snow arrives in Portland this weekend. And here's the storm track. 12 p.m. Friday, an atmospheric river will bring soggy weather to the coast and, well, even more fantastic things to the higher elevations, including that global warming goodness. Snow in Portland still remains uncertain this weekend. Models cannot agree on just how cold Portland may get or how low the snow level may fall. Temps are toggling in the low to mid-30s throughout the weekend into next weekend. And as we get closer to this weekend, we will have more information and a much better forecast. But in the meantime, here is today's full forecast. Snow squalls across the Great Lakes, northern mid-Atlantic, and the Northeast, with severe storms in the southern plains. A secondary Arctic cold front will bring accumulating snow and trigger additional snow squalls that will impact the eastern Great Lakes, upstate New York, and interior New England, and the northern mid-Atlantic. A storm system is expected to produce strong to severe storms and heavy rain over the southern plains into the mid-Mississippi Valley through Thursday. Winter storm watches and warnings are up for many states in the Northeast. The biggest hit region and the most snow totals will be the Adirondacks, or northern New York. And we'll take a quick look at how that snow will progress. But first, let's take a look at the severe weather threat in the south and move the models through. We're going to move them through 3, 6, 9 hours. By tomorrow morning, a system near Texas will be developing, and severe weather will explode there near North Texas midday. Well, it should be around tomorrow evening, could be the afternoon. And that severe weather threat will continue into Thursday and into the weekend, Friday. And by Saturday, it will just be a rain event for the coast, but the severe weather will move up to the mid-Atlantic potentially, as we can see here, sometime on Saturday. So there's the major severe weather threat. About 24 hours from now, could be some tornadoes and big hail with this system through Arkansas, northern Louisiana, East Texas, and northern Texas as it develops. It will rapidly move towards Tennessee and Mississippi here, and severe weather threats will dissipate as we enter the weekend. A quick look at the total snowfall from these events. We do have a storm in the Four Corners region churning, and tonight it's supposed to be dropping snow in just a few hours here. You can see that. Let's move it through here. 3, 6, 9, 12. By morning, there should be snow on the ground in Pagosa Springs. The storm will continue to move east as it develops, and by Thursday and into Friday, there'll be severe weather ahead of it that's not on the map as it drops more snow through the northern tier here as it moves east. And this is all the way through the end of the weekend. So you can see the significant atmospheric river starting to hit Thursday into Friday morning here. Saturday and Sunday, fun day. Monday, Tuesday, more snow as the snow moves down the Sierra Crest, the Cascades, and all of the northern Rockies. Holy macaroni, we need this moisture. The snow totals look pretty significant for the northern tier through mid-February. Good news there. Shut up, Al. Get in your hole. Al Gore says it doesn't snow anymore. He's wrong. Seismic update. Interesting rumblers up here. Lots of activity up in the Basin and Range, Idaho and Wyoming. We've also got continued activity here on the Aleutians near Nikolsky, Alaska. Other than that, an outlier in China at 4.0. The Ethiopian Rift continues to rumble at 4.5. And slightly elevated activity on the Ring of Fire. And that activity may increase in just the next few days. Worldwide volcano news for the 28th of January. We've got Ducono on the list, 8,000 feet, Ibu to 8,000, Semeru to 15,000. Here we can see Fuego in Guatemala, a faint thermal signal atop the summit. Isn't that faint, actually, is it? Nevado de Ruiz, new volcanic ash emitted. Kilauea volcano in Hawaii. Eruption has resumed earlier today, entering the 7th effusive period there. Many live streams on the eruption you can easily go get. Take a look at this shot from a helicopter, or this is a fixed wing plane flying near White Island Volcano in New Zealand, where that tragedy happened several years ago. Continued degassing with minor ash emissions currently in effect there today. Santiaguito to 14,000 foot, Raventador 14,000 foot, Ibu to 8, Chivalush to 15,000, Semeru, who knew, now you do, 15,000 foot puff today, Swanosima, puffing and passing, Nevado de Ruiz, the volcanic ash has dissipated, Chivalush to 15,000 foot, Santiaguito to 14, wrapping up the list is Ibu, an 8,000 foot blast today. A quick look at space weather and those massive coronal holes that are now facing Earth. Plasma streams from these babies should arrive by the 30th. That's going to be Thursday. And subsequently here we see the 3-day geomagnetic forecast getting to instability on January 31st. I think this can pop to KP5 easily based on the size of this coronal hole, which no longer looks like a Tyrannosaurus Rex. It's developing into something else. Let me know what you see. A quick look at the latest HMI intensity shows a huge area of sunspots that will be moving into view in the coming days and be geo-effective in about 48 hours. The only other spot on the disk is this tiny pinprick. So all hopes for geomagnetic storming coming from this region now entering the picture. And that, in fact, is multiple regions, 3 newly assigned regions, active region 3976, 3977, and 3978. Hopefully, they'll be great. Now, the big news was a press release coming out earlier today from the Bulletin of the Atomic Scientists. The Doomsday clock is now set at 89 seconds to midnight, the closest ever to human extinction. What does that mean for you and I? Well, humanity is edging closer to catastrophe. The iconic Doomsday clock moves 1 second closer to midnight as global existential threats rage. Clock factors include nuclear weapons, the climate crisis, artificial intelligence, infectious disease, and conflicts in the Ukraine and the Middle East. And this all happening today on the 28th of January. The Doomsday clock was set to 89 seconds to midnight, the closest the clock has ever been to midnight in its 78-year history. The 2025 clock time signals that the world is on a course of unprecedented risk, and that continuing on the current path is a form of madness. The United States, China, and Russia have the prime responsibility to pull the world back from the brink. The world depends on immediate action. Well, the good news is the climate crisis is nothing but propaganda, so we can erase that from the list and maybe back the clock up, let's just say a few seconds. Yeah, I do digress. Leave your thoughts and comments below. Bad news coming for southern New Mexico and southern New Mexico wildlife. New Mexico wildlife and plants around Holloman Lake have the highest PFAS contamination on record, and health officials warn about consumption of area waterfowl. Now, if you approached a lake in a desert environment that showed foam like this on the shore, I'm pretty sure you would realize you're in a toxic environment. But many people aren't that smart. And the bad news is plants and wildlife living around Holloman Lake near White Sands National Park contain some of the highest levels of toxic PFAS contamination recorded in the world, according to findings released Monday by New Mexico environmental officials. The record-breaking levels of per and polyfluoroalkyl substances, shortened as PFAS, were recorded in samples of plants and studies of dead animal carcasses. This class of chemical, nicknamed forever chemicals, bioaccumulate, meaning they can move through the food chain and get locked up in your fats and accumulate in the body. Experts say they believe the leading cause of the contamination comes from neighboring Holloman U.S. Air Force Base, which has been using firefighting foam containing this PFAS from the 1970s until 2019. I think we're convinced beyond a reasonable doubt that Holloman Air Force Base, loading for decades into the groundwater and surface water there, caused a PFAS levels we're seeing, New Mexico Environmental Department Secretary James Kenney told a source in New Mexico. New Mexico is embroiled in 2 lawsuits with the U.S. military over PFAS contamination on multiple Air Force bases and how to address the cleanup. It is deeply concerning, particularly for hunters who may have consumed waterfowl from the area over the past decade and are literally giving themselves cancer. So please stay away from any fish, food, animal, or fowl near Lake Holloman. And if you drink water in the region, you need to filter it before you put it into your mouth. The only way to filter out these forever chemicals is a reverse osmosis system, which is why we partnered with iTeal to bring you the lowest price, most affordable, and highest rated reverse osmosis portable system on the planet. It's now $299, $100 off, but you use our coupon code ORP20 for an additional 20% off. That's 60 more bucks off. For less than $250, you can survive and thrive in a toxic environment. A single 2 hybrid filter replacement will provide you 600 to 800 gallons of uncontaminated water. That is just pennies on the dollar. Think about it. 30 cents a gallon for uncontaminated water. I'm buying that. Aren't you? And that's a boom to knowledge. Get the filter and get clean water. We love each and every one of you. Hit the thumbs up. It helps with the algorithm. The most important thing you can do to support the channel is subscribe now. Over half of the people watching are unsubscribed from the channel, and it really helps our channel grow. We love each and every one of you. Be safe. And that is a boom.